Buy my spice. Isn't your camel thirsty? Your garden is amazing. That's so whack. That's the Board Game Geek description. The game Resafa takes place during the 3rd century AD in the area of today's Middle East. Refasa, Resafa. I can't not call it Refasa. That's a one boing problem for me. Now lies in ruins in modern day Syria. But at this time, it was a fortified desert outpost that flourished as a stop along important caravan routes. In the game, players represent merchants who travel on business trips and buy and sell goods in the various cities in the region. Yada yada yada, build water tanks and canals to distribute that water where it's needed. Build workshops to help their businesses grow, which will allow them to collect resources and camels. I guess camels are not a resource. They also construct gardens between the businesses, generating more resources and also victory points. Will you thrive in this dynamic desert realm?
Today on the board, boys, Resafa.
Resafa. And by the way, that wasn't the back of the box. I pulled from a few different places. But
So this isn't part of the Dune IP since we're collecting spice?
it is part of the Dune IP. It actually says on the back. Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Board Boys Podcast, Season 16, Episode 1, Resafa, from Delicious Games and our boy, Vladimir Suhi. This is your board boy, stumbling through the desert, Rob.
It's your boy, Camel Up TK.
I can't believe you didn't hit Mufasa Rob after all the jokes you made a couple seconds ago.
I'm not going to die on that hill.
This is your board boy, Damascus Jake.
And this is your boy, 3rd century AD Cam. So that's the 200s. 250. Cam 250.
Perfect. Well, I think we might have a longer-ish episode. I know this was... You know what, Campbell? Is this the season of one silly Campbell story per episode that has to do with massage parlors? Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot on our plate today.
Yeah. Give me the shortest one.
Okay. One time Iwan told me that he had to go to jail because in Indonesia because he had a young family. His first son Hendry had just been born, and he was living in an apartment next to an army man, like a soldier. And the soldier would play his boombox really loud every night. So one night Iwan went out to ask him to please turn the music down because his baby was trying to sleep, and the guy got physical with him. So Iwan punched him in the side of the stomach and broke one of his ribs and was immediately sent to jail. And he told me he was really worried because in Indonesian jail, people can give like $100 to the guards to let you out, or they could give like $100 to the guards to kill you. And he was afraid that the soldier would hold a grudge and try to have him killed. But somebody ponied up a bribe and got him out pretty quick. So
how big is this dude?
Iwan?
Yeah.
Oh,
small. Yeah.
5'4", probably. But I mean, many Indonesians probably are. And Iwan's scrappy, you know.
Did he go against his own advice? Because I thought the first guy was supposed to be the throat.
Well, he was only fighting one guy, and I think
so. That's not the general strategy. Just it increases with the numbers. I just assumed you go with the best first.
No, I think. Well, guys, this is if people are jumping you. I think he might have been the jumper technically in this one, because I don't. Maybe the guy swung at him first, but it wasn't like. I think that's like if you're getting jumped in an alley. This is more like if you're in an altercation with somebody that you're a willing participant in. The rules are kind of different, right? Because you're right there, and things could just kind of pop off at any time. Whereas you're using at the beginning of a strategy RPG where you have to position your units. That's kind of like what you're doing when 4 guys are coming your way and you just kind of see them coming, So anyway, that's Iwan went to prison for breaking a soldier's rib.
Excellent.
Sorry, I think it was just jail. I think he was just going to be in there a couple of weeks. I don't know. Maybe it was prison.
So this is going to be our special. It kind of fell together at the same time, but it's going to be our season 15 look back, and on top of that, our 2024 year in review. So buckle up, everybody, because We're gonna get crazy. Let's just start with our year in review and kind of talk about our top 5. We'll start at 5 and go to 1. I have some maybe in no particular order. But I think Campbell, you want to go first?
Yeah, my top 5 is very, very cash this year. Because I didn't get to play all the cool stuff. I wasn't one of the cool kids this year. In fact, it's been so long since I've been to our normal board game night that I almost feel like I'll be an outsider when I come back. And I had been going for many, many years, but now I feel like there's all these new guys now, and none of them know how cool I am. So, but they'll figure out pretty quick.
It's the same crew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not much different.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I just have that FOMO, you know what I mean? But here's my top 5 from the year.
Are we going one at a time, or is Cam just ripping through them all?
Should we go one at a time?
No, you know what? Just rip them. Go ahead.
Rip them.
Okay, so here we go. My number 5, just because I've heard about it, I haven't even played it, but I decided to do a funny one like that. I got to give props to Civolution because I know it'd probably be my number 1 if I'd played it. That's my number 5 for
probably
2024.
I'm in a really similar place that I feel like that would have definitely made my list had I played it.
Okay, but I have played the rest of these games, and I did go through like the list of games released in 2024, and I'm like, I liked a lot of these, but I got to add Civolution on there because I just know. Number 4, this is maybe a surprise, Rock Hard 1977.
Yeah.
Nice.
The game just kind of zazzed me after a few plays. It was like, this is cool. It was kind of between Draft and Write Records and Rock Hard 1977 for the 4 spot. And what ended up giving me the Rock Hard 1977 was just that I think Rock Hard 77 would always be fun, like when you pull it off the shelf and play it. But Draft and Write Records, I think, is a great BGA game because like it does all the accounting for you. But I just see it getting like samey and repetitive and like a lot of management. Over and over again.
I played it probably 4 or 5 times in a row on BGA, and it definitely started to be like, oh, okay,
I know how to do this.
Let's move on to the next game.
Mm-hmm. I do like in the BGA module how you can name your band though. Like that's great.
Didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
4 points.
Yeah, it's awesome. Number 3, again a quite casual game, is Mlem, Space Agency.
Yeah.
Mlem
One's
rocks.
super good.
Yeah, Mlem is very, very good. In fact, it might actually be like the most perfect of the games. I don't know. I got another pretty perfect game in the number 1 spot. But it's just neat and tight and kind of succeeds, I think, where a lot of the other casual games like this are fun for like gamers, but they don't always translate well into like being exciting for people who don't play a lot of games. But Mlem, the production on it is just nice because it's got like the mouse pad board that rolls out. And
have you played any of the modules?
Yeah, I
with
have.
it? Okay,
Mhm.
I haven't played those yet.
And I like all the modules, although I usually only do like one of them, if any at all, with like brand new players. But yeah, you can get more gamey with it, and I love that about it too. Number 2 is a game that maybe I'll only play 10 times in my life, but the theme was my number 1 favorite theme ever. So Ezra and Nehemiah got number 2 for me for 2024. I think it's a super cool game. Who knows like what the long-term legs on that are, but just I'm just giving props to like a sick theme for me at least. Those dudes are studs, ripping people's beards off and rebuilding the city of Jerusalem. And then my number one game, I don't think you guys, I probably have to say it because I think you guys probably know what my number 1 game for the year of 2024 is. Jake's shaking his head yes. Jake knows.
It's Botanicus.
It's Botanicus, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but for me, Botanicus is also a nearly perfect game. And again, when I weigh it up against Cobb, Castles of Burgundy, I think it's not quite to that echelon. I don't know if it's going to ever be in my top 10 games, but it's as solid as a 3 boing rating gets for me. So, love Botanicus. Yep.
Me next?
Go ahead.
All right, I am not going to include the game that we just played because I guess slight spoilers. I didn't know.
Yeah, I would like to put Resafa on my number 5 spot, I think, after that play.
I don't know where it would land necessarily, but I had only played it once before this, and so I didn't really consider it, but future spoilers like it a lot. My number 5 is Kavango. which is done by Matt Brown and Zara Reed, which is their first game. I think it's just a lot of fun. It takes, I guess, the things that I like the most about Meadow and Wingspan and in Seven Wonders in the fact that you're drafting and you're building off of different producers, and it's just a lot of fun. The production's really nice, the cards are cool, there's a lot of different things that you can do. I really like the idea of needing money to be able to get cards out, so potentially filling goals at a worse level than you could, so you kind of are all balancing that out. It's a lot of fun. I really like it. I definitely think it's going to stay in my collection. My number 4, which has some crossover with Cam, is Ezra Nehemiah. I do really enjoy it. It's, I've gotten to where I enjoy Shem Phillips quite a bit in regards to his Ancient History series, and some of those I enjoy quite a bit too, but I think I tend to like some of the other ones a little bit better. I still think there's some things that I don't know how equitable are across it, but it's a lot of fun. I love the simplicity of the number of actions there are and how you use those, and the building of your banners to be able to get different amount of banners out to increase the power of your actions, and then the upgrades like Taverns of Tiefenthal has, which you don't see that in a lot of games. So Ezra Nehemiah is my number 4. My number 3 is Botanicus. I have a lot of fun with it. It just is really satisfying despite not being a very complicated game. A lot of planning. You just cannot do everything. I was playing with my mom, and I got it for her for Christmas, and I mentioned to her on her first play that, like, you just can't do everything, and I don't think she really understood how little you can do of the things that you want to do sometimes. But it's just so far it is continued to stay interesting every time. So I'm optimistic it'll stay that way long term.
Don't you think that the fact that you are really limited in what you can do in Botanicus is what keeps it playable, though?
I think so. And so I was a little bit worried at first that we had talked about it would be nice if they had a few more boards and different things, like the one gives you less goal or less of the contracts to fulfill, but you get another gold card. It'd be cool if there were more of those, and I think that would automatically make it a 3 boing for me, but I have found it interesting continually so far.
That would be the mini expansion, and then maybe player powers too would be cool.
Yeah. All right, and my number 2 is a game that I'm sure we'll do at some point. Future spoiler, sorry, is SETI. I've actually only played SETI once, but 2 turns into it, I looked at Tim and I was like, this game rules. Which Rob actually nailed it right on the head that was going to be a big Jake game. It really feels like Ruins of Arnak, which I love.
It's an efficiency puzzle, right?
Yep.
You're trying to go as long as you can every round.
Yeah, and again, from one play, I just feel like there's a lot of different ways you can go about it, which is super cool, and even adjustments mid-game, and that still allow you to be strategic with it. But I super, super enjoyed it, and I'm really anxious to keep getting that one played. And my number 1 game of the year is Mednefer, which I also think just rules.
I could have called that one.
It's so much fun.
I still haven't played that. I feel like
really
you guys
good.
have played Mednefer 1,000 times between the 3 of you, and
I've probably played it 4 times.
2 or 3,
maybe
probably.
you just constantly talk about Mednefer.
It plays so quick.
It does, and it's so good.
Is that from the White Castle people?
No,
No,
it's
it's-
from German Pimolan.
Yeah, Batoku. and-
Batoku.
Okay.
It's kind of like Batoku,
yeah.
Not in that universe,
which was
but
the joke. Yeah.
Yeah. Batoku's long, though, if I remember.
probably 2
Mednefer's
hours.
not.
Mednefer's
It
90
is
minutes.
shorter.
Yeah. That's my top 5.
All right, sweet. So for me, coming in at number 5, Arcs. I really enjoyed Arcs. I think it's got the right balance of kind of root and a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more going on. Not more is maybe the right word, but it's got more, I don't know, parts to it, more things to worry about. It's a little bit more TI than root is. It's got the factions.
agree
It's
with
got
that, yeah.
it's got just the stuff. You take stuff from other people. It's a little bit more, I don't know. Root's pretty fighty at some point in time,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
But the scoring categories are so variable too across the games.
Yeah, and I really like the hand management part of the game. It's quite interesting. So I assume we'll probably do that on the cast at some point in time.
I'm super excited to play the campaign mode with evolving things. One thing that really helped my appreciation of Arcs was, there's certainly some frustrations that the hand you get isn't what you want, but if you go into the game with the lens of every hand is going to be a bad hand, to some extent, because you're just never going to have exactly what you want, I think that goes a long ways to being better at it.
For me, I liked it. I really liked the point where I popped my hand open. I'm like, oh my God, this hand is terrible. And then something would happen. It'd be like, well, I have the perfect card. I'm going to play this, and it just kind of even if you think you have a bad hand, it ends up being great. So I don't know. I really enjoyed the game.
I finally got a chance to play that one time, and I think you guys have all talked about it, and I really liked it at first, and I think I still would really like it. I don't know if I would like it more than Root, because one thing that I noticed in Play 1 is that like somebody got like annihilated really early just because of new players. And what I think is nice about Root is Root works well for those kind of situations because the game is like 7 turns long.
Yeah.
And this I could feel like could go on a really long time. You just sit there feeling sad for yourself.
Yeah, well, I have played, 2 or 3 games where, like, I mean, I've scored no points in, like, the first round and had a pretty bad second round. And the third round, the scoring ramps up so hard in the third and fourth round that, like, you can definitely come back.
Well, and even like your table or like your presence on the board only matters for some of the scoring categories. So like it doesn't really matter if you lose a lot of your units if those aren't what's scoring. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I'll need to play it more. I have not been the biggest because this is Worley designed this one, right?
Yes.
I haven't been his biggest stan other than Root because like the dude I love that he's like a philosopher and a historian and stuff, but like. At a certain point, I'm like, Root is the perfect amount of you showing your hand as far as philosophy and, your game theory. But, like, all of his other games to me, like, kind of take that one step too far. And it's just like, okay, bro, like, do I have to read a dissertation every time I play your game? Like, I feel that way when I play PAX Premier. And, like, they're awesome, beautiful games. But, like... my hope is that Arcs is more like Root, where it's like I can stomach it.
I would assume I don't think it's ever going to get as popular as Root, but my assumption is as the years go on, it's going to get more and more like people are going to like it more and more, just like they did with Root. Like I think Root had a pretty good like following, but like as things have developed and people kind of got into it and like really dove deep into it, I think it grew.
And you know what? PAX Premier has really warmed on me too. So
yeah.
Maybe I love it. Maybe
I think Oath is probably the one that's like way out there. So
yeah, Oath I couldn't like. I tried it a couple times. But.
Yeah. All right. Number 4, Unconscious Mind. So last episode, I really enjoyed that game. We talked about it a bunch last episode, so I probably need to run into it. But
do you guys like that song that I put in the middle there? It was Perfect Road I was talking about, right?
Yes. You are the DJ, Mom.
But like I was talking smack about Freud, and then I found a song talking smack about Freud. It was perfect.
All right, number 3, Jake talked about it. Menefer. That game is fantastic. Plays in 9 minutes. I assume we're going to do it on the podcast at some point in time. Number 2 for me, Windmill Valley. It was my most played game of 2024. My wife loves it, so we can get it out there. I don't know. It's just great. I really enjoyed it. We played it not the other day at our board game night and rocked it out in like 60 minutes with 4 of us. And then number 1 for me is SETI. The game's fantastic. I assume we'll also do a podcast on it too, but I like it better than Lost in Zarnak by...
But you don't really like Lost in Zarnak that much, do you?
I like it. I like it. I think the stuff on the board in SETI is a lot more interesting to me.
I think SETI's going to be regularly a longer game than Ruins
100%.
as well, though.
100%. All right, that's it. And then,
I had disappointments and surprises, or do they come back to that? Because I should have said mine if we were doing that now. Are we coming back to it?
We'll come back.
We'll come back.
All right, I'm going to try to organize these. I have more than 5 here. I was going
Cheater! Limit to 5.
Well, I was going off of what you guys were saying a little bit because I wanted to throw out some different stuff maybe.
There was a bunch of games where I had that probably could have made it into the top 5 had I played them more than once. So, you probably got to play games a little bit more than I did. But
yeah, so my number 1, I think, is... Well, I'll go... I'm going to go 1 to 5. I'm going to buck the trend. My number 1 is Civolution.
Really?
I may give this game 4 Boeing. Spoiler alert.
I'm sure that I will like that game. I just haven't played it.
Because I don't know what else I would give it to. Anyway, my number 2... Except when I won't go into details because we will do an episode on it. It's just I think you could play that game a billion times and play it differently almost every time.
Civolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
My number 2 is Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. This is 7 Wonders Duel only better. Plus it's Lord of the Rings.
Only good?
Only good according to Ichabod. Or no. You don't like 7 Wonders.
I don't like 7 Wonders Duel.
But you played it with me.
I did like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's so fun. Good. My number 3 is Captain Flip. I freaking love Captain Flip.
It's really good.
It's so fun. My number 4 is Bomb Busters. That game is a hit with everyone I play it with. It's a co-op. We played through maybe 20 missions or so. We got another 46 missions to go. And it's got more stuff to unlock. I love the puzzle of the deduction thing. My wife loves it. So like that was something that we will get played through. I'm sure we'll play through all these scenarios at some point. It is a huge hit with. We took it on the cruise and we played it on the cruise with our neighbors, and it was just fun. And my number 5 is Inferno. I really, really, really like Inferno. It was almost my surprise. I'm saving I have a surprise that I think this is the better way to do it. So we did an episode on it, but I just come back to it. I want to keep trying to unlock that delicious puzzle, Campbell.
It's a delicious
You know what I
puzzle.
mean?
I like Inferno a lot. It actually was on in contention for my top 5. I still don't know that I love the scoring at the end, but I do like a lot about the game.
I do too. Let's see. My surprise, I would say, my pleasant surprise is Flip 7.
Flip 7 was great. That almost made my top 5. And I was like, I'm getting too casual here, which is why I threw Civilization
I mean,
on there.
Flip 7, like we took that too. Like that is the game that we just bust out whenever we have some free time, and everyone always loves it. And you can play to whatever points you want, and it's just hilarious to watch people bust.
I do have a big problem with that game, though, because they call it... it says on the box it's the world's greatest card game, and it's barely a card game. It's a push your luck game, and it may be the world's greatest push your luck game if Can't Stop didn't exist. But like it's barely a card game. Like it's just like hit me and that's it. Like to me a card game involves some sort of play.
It's party blackjack, baby. Hey, there's like special cards in there that do cool stuff.
Right, but you never hold a card in your hand.
You
know what I mean?
You always feel good when you freeze that person out. I get frozen a lot, and that's usually how I score my points. So thank you for freezing me,
The scoring in
people.
that game is really nice where like you can like nickel and dime your way to a win just as easily as you can do really well in 3 hands.
Rock that 2x and double your score and score like over 100
2x card
points.
is bonkers.
Right? Does anybody else have any surprises?
Yeah.
As we go through the superlatives?
I do. Mine would be Best Medicine.
Ah.
Yeah. So they were on a couple episodes ago to talk about Best Medicine. We streamed it, so you can find it on YouTube. I was not expecting much. I mean, like Brett's really great. So when we first played it, like it was the game. I mean, I think I talked to Jake about it at the Cardboard Caucus. It was just, it's so fun. It's so quick. It's so easy. My kid loved it. Like it was way more than anything I was expecting from it.
I got a little extra content here. Oh, sorry. Jake has a surprise, right?
I do. My best surprise, and actually just about made my top 5. Actually, the main reason it didn't is because I didn't want to say it twice, but is Neuro Riders, which is a game that just came in a Kickstarter of 3 games by Latin American designers, and it is so fun. There's secret information about what's going to score. All it is playing a tile and moving people around through doors to collect points, but I love the way that you can push one off the end, and you don't really know how people are scoring, and it's super fun. I really like it.
So I did prepare a list of like the look back on BGA for 2024, and I couldn't actually see the whole list of games released on 2024 on BGA because when you go to the new section, they just show you the 100 most recent games, and literally there have been so many games added on BGA this year that the most recent 100 just went back to June, which is crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe 200 games were released on BGA this year. Psycho. But they just did they're doing the BGA awards for 2024 releases right now, and this is the politically divisive statement I wanted to say that you guys can get with me on this one or not, but in order to vote in this on these categories, you have to have played each game at least once. You can't vote if you haven't played every single game. And you have like 10 days left to do it or whatever. Which, to me...
You can't vote on the games on BGA if you haven't played all the new ones?
No,
No,
all
so
the
like
ones in the category.
in a category for like the best casual game,
okay, I get
you
it.
have to have played all 4 of those games
Gotcha.
to vote. And I sort of wish that we treated our political, our political elections like this. Where you have to like maybe like when you're going to vote for president, you have to like be able to point at a picture of the vice presidential candidate for each party, and you have to know like you have to know who's running in like one of the third parties, and here's the nice thing: if you can't do it, you get to go into a room where they show you an hour-long video that it does all this stuff, and then you get to go vote. But if you're not willing to wait for the hour-long video, you don't get to vote. That would get some voting. That would get voting going good. It is not a very populist stance, but I like with it. But Jake is the social studies guy. What do you think about that, Jake?
I mean, my review would be that we have one of the lowest voting turnout rates of all developed countries, and that would make it even lower. So I don't know that that's what we want.
In Peru, you get fined if you don't vote.
Australia does that too.
That's messed up as far as I'm concerned. That to me, maybe I'm outing myself as a butthead here, but I don't think it's necessarily super good for people who aren't informed to vote. And maybe that includes me sometimes, but also letting people choose their leadership is good. So it's a balance, right? Anyway, here are the 5 categories for Board Game Arena Awards for 2025. Best Casual Game, they put up Super Mega Lucky Box, Captain Flip, Castle Combo, and a game called Flowers, which I hadn't played until recently. We've talked about Captain Flip. We've talked about Castle Combo on this podcast, right? Have we talked about Super Mega Lucky Box?
We have talked about Castle Combo?
I think so.
Oh, I really like that one. I've grown to... At first I was kind of indifferent on it, but I've grown to like it quite a bit.
So here's my deal. Flowers I played. It's really cool. It's a game that's kind of... it's a puzzle game, sort of. You draw from one of 3 decks. You draw a card that has a color and a number, and you place it in your tableau. And it's an open tableau, so you basically orthogonal building, but it can end up however it ends at the game. You don't have to build within a grid or anything like that. You score points. The cards go 1 to 4, and you only score cards. You only score 1s that are in a group of 1. You only score 2s that are in groups of 2, like a 2 adjacent to a 2, 3s for 3s, and 4s for 4s. Each card you score is worth 1 point at the end of the game. However, you don't score, before you do the scoring, you remove any cards that aren't in a orthogonal run of at least, or I think exactly 5 of that color. So, you have to be able to draw a line around, 5 green cards, and if you can't, then you might be able to go more than 5. But basically, you're just thinking about 2 things: are my groups good? Are my colors good? And then you lose 1 point, I think, for every card that gets removed. And it's super fast, and you just have 3 piles to choose from. And basically, when one pile gets deleted, then the game's done instantly. I played it one time, and I was like, "This is a good game." However, with Castle Combo, which is really good, and Captain Flip, I went with
Captain Flip, baby.
Flip. Now, here's my thing. In each of these things, I chose to delete one game and say, here's my recommendation. Instead of Super Mega Lucky Box or the casual game list, I would have put on Mlem. Right? Okay, regular games. This is their medium weight games.
Also, I have a game called Euro that is better than Castle Combo, and it's the same game, same type of game.
But it's not on BGA.
It's not, but it's
I would
better.
like to play that.
Yeah. It's tight.
So here's the regular game list. They had Harmonies on there.
It's YRO.
Euro. They had Harmonies on there. They had Cartographers on there. They had Middle Ages on there. And then they had a game called Loot with 3 O's that I haven't played yet. I'll tell you what, I played Loot last night. It's the best game on there. So Loot is kind of like Harmonies. But basically what you're doing is you're building out on this board. And whatever you build to, basically you can place a meeple past any one of the other players' meeples on this hexagonal board, so you're all building out together. And wherever you place your thing, you pick up that resource, and then you put it on your board. And then at the end of your turn, you can pick up a scoring objective that goes on your board, and you're building those resources around the objectives. And whenever you finish an objective, you flip it over, and it makes one of those resources 1 point more valuable at the end of the game. And so it works kind of like Harmonies, but I think it's maybe more compelling and less stressful because there's a really finite amount of stuff you can do. I like Harmonies. I want to give it more shots. I went with Loot, but I think these are all good choices.
I really like Middle Ages.
However, I wasn't enthusiastic about Middle Ages the couple times I played it. Maybe I really would be after a few more plays. So I did kick that one out from my regular game choices, and I threw in. I would have thrown in Draft and Write Records, is what I'm saying there. But I know you like Middle Ages.
It's good.
Yeah. I feel like maybe I'm just such a noob at the game, but it just feels like taking all of the red buildings is where it's at. But maybe I'm wrong. Expert game. They have Terraforming Mars, River of Gold, expert game. Age of Innovation, and Darwin's J, a.k.a. Darwin's
Why
Journey.
is Terraforming Mars new to BGA or something?
It just came
so
this
games
year.
that came in 2024.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I could have gone with any of these except for River of Gold, which I think is underwhelming and also not an expert game. So I threw that out, and I said I would have thrown Distilled in instead for the expert game choice. But I had a hard time saying, like, these are all great games. Darwin's Journey is probably the best game, and it's new and hot. Age of Innovation is new and hot, but it's like very heady. And then Terraforming Mars, I give the slight edge to Terraforming Mars with my vote just because it was like one of the most requested games on BGA. And then basically, like, I think it's the first Stronghold game they've gotten. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Did we play it really early? Because remember the UI was terrible.
Yeah, it was probably alpha.
It's good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I could have gone with any of those on there.
It's Darwin's Journey by like a
For you,
significant mile.
yeah.
But for
I
me,
love Darwin's Journey.
It's the best.
Yeah. 2-player games. Altered, that card game from the Dixit people that lets you import your own deck. There's Splendor Duel. Pocket Cats, which is a game about, like, you're placing cats on the board and then you, like, flip them around with other things. It's a neat little game. And then a game called Battle Spirit Saga, which is made by Bandai, and it's a one-on-one, like, you just buy a deck of the game.
Namco Bandai?
Yeah, I think so. And it's just this kind of Yu-Gi-Oh style card game. This Battle Spirit Saga is the worst nomination by far. And also they have 2 like trading card games in the 2-player thing. They've had 739,000 plays of Altered since it came. Less than 40,000 plays of Battle Spirit Saga. You only can choose from 3 decks in Battle Spirit Saga. Get out of there. I nominate That Time You Killed Me. I think that's a good 2-player game that came to BGA this last year. But my money was on Splendor Duel. I don't know how you guys feel about that one, but I thought it was pretty good.
I passed on it. I mean, I owned it and sold it.
Yeah,
You would.
It was fine.
Not like so. This wasn't BGA's hottest 2-player year. And BGA has tons of good 2-player games that have been on BGA forever, like Lost Cities. Patchwork, and yeah. Animal games. So they had Cat in the Box, which I like.
Like, I don't know why this was a category.
Just because they wanted to have a category. New York Zoo, The Wolves, and Mountain Goats. All good games. This is a good set of things. My money was on The Wolves. What do you guys? I know Rob loves Mountain Goats.
I also sold Mountain Goats.
Oh.
I like New York Zoo quite a bit.
I also like New York Zoo.
You still have that one, Robert? Or did you sell that too?
It's gone.
My thought was kick out. So Cat in the Box is called Cat in the Box, but it's not really an animal game, right? So kick out Cat in the Box.
I do like that game, though.
I do like it too, but it's not really an animal game.
That'd be my favorite of those.
So here's my flipper, though. I'm kicking it out because it's not an animal game. I'm bringing in Botanicus because it does have animals in it. And then I'm flipping Harmonies and Botanicus. So Botanicus is going into regular games, and Harmonies is coming down to animal games. And then now I think that's a better list. And so there's my take on Board Game Arena Awards 2025.
Nice.
All right. So, do you guys have any more superlatives to go over? I have worst game and I have biggest disappointment.
I just have biggest disappointment. Wait, because we're not doing
Worst
the podcast
game
stuff
and
yet.
biggest disappointment?
Yes.
That's 2 different games? Oh, I guess
Yeah.
because you can be disappointed by something, but it's still not the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my disappointing game was Weirdwood Manor. I really liked the theme of that, and it was just too long of a convoluted co-op. So
Did you get rid of it?
no, I still have it. I'd like to play it again. I only played it one time, but I was disappointed by it.
All.
I mean, both of mine are the same, so
Go ahead.
it's Wormspan was my biggest disappointment, the biggest miss.
You were excited for Wormspan?
I mean, excited enough that was like, oh, okay, this is cool, and then playing it and being like, this game is trash.
I mean, at that point, Tim said he liked Wingspan, like when we played Wormspan.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean, any expectations for that game would have been the biggest disappointment.
Well, now we can get into some Finspan.
Yeah, let's go.
Jake?
I have all of the things that I wanted to say. Turns out are 2023 games, so I went through like 4 iterations. But I landed on Lords of Baseball because I was so excited for that game. And
Yeah.
while
I remember you talking about that
while
one.
there are parts of it that I still really enjoy, it just kind of feels like a Frankenstein of things. And like the building a team and playing games is fun, but then it's just so disconnected from like the Euro, how you score points. And it was so long. I think I'll probably just keep it because I don't know. Like some parts of it are fun, but I can't even imagine playing the long version because I played the short one and it was 2.5 hours.
Who's going to buy that trash game?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
I mean, tied for me is I have this giant box of Divinus that I don't think was really a hit with the group I started playing it with. And it made me kind of meh on it. So, like, I don't know, like, if I can just reset it and try it with a different group or what. So I'm kind of... I got a giant box of Divinus in there, guys. My worst game was called Red Lolly, Yellow Lolly. And it is by Blue Orange Games. And it's got this really cool little toy factor lollipop, but it's a speed game. And it's too hard to keep track of. Like, this is a game you're going to find, like, on the Target shelf or something. It's just... It's too hard for the average person, like, and it's not that interesting. It's a speed game with a toy in it. Now, on the flip side, they do have a game called Tumball, and that game is fun. Go check that out. It's Tumball, and it is a fun dexterity game.
Did they send this game to us
They
for
did.
review?
They
okay.
did.
And
The review is...
yeah, okay.
I
Sorry.
mean, you can check it out. We have a video review. Bo and I did a video review of all the Blue Orange games. Red Lolly, Yellow Lolly, down vote. Tumball, up vote.
All right. Do we want to look back at season 15?
maybe we should just hit our best and least.
I think
at
we
this
need
point.
to. I mean, my thought is we will go through them and we can talk about if it's bumped or dumped or we haven't played it, or it can be quick.
Okay.
We don't have to go deep into every game. And when I hit the game, if you want to tell me it was your least favorite or most favorite, then we'll do it then.
Got it.
We'll start at the beginning. Season 15, Episode 1, Inventions, Evolution, Ideas. I have not played it since the podcast. I don't care to play it again. I know Jake sold it.
I
so-
did sell it, although the last time I played it, I was just in the Matrix, and I had the most ridiculous game of all time, so I don't really know what else I have to prove with Inventions, but it was not intuitive, and I think that was the biggest takeaway from it, but I sold and got almost all the money back, and then they bought me 2 more games, so it was worth it.
Perfect. Episode 2, Coimbra. There's a good throwback there. I really like to bring that out. And we played that game so fast.
I had been saying
bumped for me.
Yep, I had been saying I didn't like Coimbra forever, and I think I like it, so it made a big jump for me.
I don't like it.
I still love
okay.
Coimbra.
Yeah.
Were you on that episode?
I was not.
You were
No.
Okay.
No.
Rock Hard
God.
1977. We know this is a big glow up for Cam. Made his top 5.
Yeah, I was like concerned. I think one of the reasons it made it on my list is just because I thought it was going to be so cringy, and it ended up being really good.
It was definitely my least favorite game from the podcast.
It's a
from last year.
really fun game for the audience it's for, which I think is intro worker placement game, and you don't care about some luck, and you want to see the story it tells.
I think it's a fun thematic experience, but I don't think the game itself and its mechanisms is very good.
Well,
in
the
my
people with
opinion.
Blue Pig, Pink Pig would agree with you, because I just listened to
Oh,
their
really?
review of it, and well, half of them were like what you said, and the other half were like what we said. So
Yeah.
I liked it.
yeah.
Well, I just call. I'm
Was that your
declaring-
favorite
I'm
game of
declaring-
the
I'm de-
season?
I'm declaring war on that podcast. Then no, I don't think so. Let's
Okay.
keep going.
Botanicus.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was in this season. Evanfall, or Evenfall, Evenfall.
Pearl Jam.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a good season.
This was my least favorite game, I think, just because it's not my kind of game, and like Tim would say, I don't want to read all the cards.
Yeah, I don't want to read all the
Like
cards.
I have 50 cards, don't care.
Either this or Inventions is probably my least favorite game this season. But I also didn't play some of the games in this season. So
Well, not Coimbra?
I mean,
He's not
of
counting
episodes
that.
that I was on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like Evenfall. I think there's some fun combos to figure out, but you definitely have to like games that give you a whole deck of cards and figure out the way to make those work. But I still enjoy it. It's something I've kept.
I'm gonna start keeping track of score in that game on a pad of paper.
Yeah.
Did you lose points in that or just gain them? I don't remember.
I thought that game was fun.
I liked it. I don't think you can lose points.
It was the worst score track I could possibly
The
imagine.
score track is absolutely the worst one that I've ever seen.
Coming
I
up
agree.
is Tim's favorite game of the maybe not Windmill Valley. I really like Windmill Valley, and we've decided that you can win Windmill Valley by bucking the social norms and building whatever kind of field you want.
Yep.
That makes me like the
100%.
game quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Was it me that did that?
Nobody did it. We just talked about whether it was
Talked about how we could
possible.
do it.
And
Yeah.
Tim did it.
I went and did it.
in a different
Yeah.
game.
I scored a bajillion points with flowers. The
I
same
remember,
flower.
I remember thinking about that while I was building the board out. I think that I like this game less than the rest of you guys, but I still really like it. Maybe I'm just not a Danny Garcia.
I think I like it. I don't love it as much as
You didn't really
those two
like
either.
Barcelona, did you?
Yeah, it's kind of the same way. I think they're both games on paper that I would be like, oh, this is my jam. But then I play both of them. Like it's kind of like Lacerda, where it's just like these are really good, but there's something about them that like. Sometimes the fun factor is really like important, and like something about them just isn't fun to me.
What the real question is going to be that Cam doesn't like all the ones that Tim likes. Will Cam love Arborea as a?
I don't know. Maybe
Ooh. Yeah, we need to get that played with Cam.
I mean,
Yes,
like,
we
don't get me
do.
wrong. I like every game we've talked about. I haven't played Inventions, but
It's a lot.
Yeah.
and that's Lacerda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 6, Doggerland. To me, it was the repetitive game of Stone Age, Advanced Stone Age. I don't know. I got rid of it. I liked the couple times we played it, but it didn't do anything new or exciting for me. And
I still feel the same way I felt
bit of
about
a dump.
it. The programming actions is a lot of fun, but just the way you score points is not fun.
Yeah, it's cool. Stone Age is way cooler. If we're gonna compare it to Stone Age,
for the theme,
yeah. It's just easy and simple, and
The Halloween episode, Inferno. This was my favorite game of the season. I love the theme. The mechanisms are good. I just really like this game. It's time to come back out and play it again.
I like Inferno. I just played it not that long ago, and it was good.
yeah, I liked it too. But why can't we be sending the saints to heaven instead of the sinners to hell? That's all I'm saying.
Different game.
Yeah, I guess I have to create Paradiso.
Yeah.
Well, we know which way you would send Freud. Anyway,
No, hey,
Botanicus,
just because I don't like somebody doesn't mean I think they should go to heck.
episode 8, Botanicus, Cam's favorite of the season.
Maybe I can't remember what the other ones were, but
It's
yeah,
my
it
favorite of the
should
season.
be.
I mean, it was your top, it was like your top one game.
It was, but what if we did a game that like wasn't released in 2024? Then
I mean,
But-
it's just like
I
3
do like
weeks into
Botanicus better than
2025,
Coimbra.
Campbell.
I'm just saying, like, what if we did a game from 2022? Or,
All right.
I think this is my number one of the season. Let me look really quick. Yes, I can say with a lot of gusto that it is by far my favorite game of the season.
Episode 9, Andromeda's Edge. I'm almost sad that I got rid of my copy of it. I think this is actually a bump for me over when we did it on the podcast. This game's really good, and I would play it anytime. But I just kept Dwellings of Elder Vale because it's similar enough, and I like it more.
I still like it, but it's not like really exactly my type of game.
Episode 10 was Mesos. I don't remember if I played that with any of you.
We played it together.
It
I
was
have not played it.
It was very close. This is the tableau builder from Luciani, and
Luch.
it was very close to my top 5 games. I really, really like Mesos.
I gotta play it again when I don't not
feed your people?
Yeah.
I like the Luch and I like casual games, so I think I'd like this. Because this is pretty casual, right?
It's really fun.
The choice mechanism is fun.
Yeah, where you put your little worker on and pick a card. Yep.
Explorers of Navoria, episode 11. This is still on the shelf.
It's still.
It's
you
still on
I
the
was
shelf.
just going to say that. It's
And
still
I-
there.
and
I said 1 year.
And I've played it again since then, and I still really like it. I played it with the expansion properly with taking 4-card actions. So
Rob's going to sell it in 366 days after the episode.
I'm kind of
11:23.
almost surprised this fell off. No, this one on nobody's list. Episode 12, Fromage. I don't know. Maybe it was just not juicy enough.
It was close, and why it didn't make my top 5 is because I was trying to do 5 different spaces, and Botanicus beat Fromage in that space.
Okay.
I think I've been souring more and more on Fromage. We've played it quite a bit on BGA, and
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot to bring me back to it.
Hey guys, I won a game of Fromage a couple days ago on BGA where I accidentally hit end turn without doing anything. Can you imagine? That's so much of the game in Fromage.
I've taught it to a bunch of more casual groups, and we've had a lot of fun with it. So I really feel like, and like I don't even teach them like the buildings. We just play with the boards, and it's fun. I mean, it's
the
a good
base
one.
Building sets are good though.
Yeah. And I still want to play some more of the harder solo corporation boards. I've only played the first one. And the last episode 13, Unconscious Mind. This would have been really close up there in my top 5 as well. It's so good. I want to play it some more with the Nightmare stuff.
I'd love to play with Nightmare stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
I have not played this one yet, and I would really like to.
The worker placement's fantastic.
We can make that happen.
I think it was good. I played again with my mom.
Excellent.
Play it while you're dreaming about your mom.
I'll dream about my mom. That's messed up, dude.
It's the root of all your problems.
All right.
The root of all my problems is the plantar fasciitis.
Yeah.
I think the only games that I have on my list I didn't talk about was Resafa, which we're about to talk about, Segue, and King of Tokyo Duel for a 2-player game.
It's fun.
It's right up there with Lord of the Rings Duel for me. And I didn't mention SETI because I haven't played it enough.
Yeah, I mean, I played it a bunch.
I played it like 3 times.
I played it once, and I knew it was enough.
I know.
That it was going to be there. So
I think I might like Arnak more.
Arnak is going to be hard. I mean, it's a top 10 game for me. I do want to say, in addition to Civolution, which I'm sure I'll love, I love Beyond the Suns. I haven't played Beyond the Horizon, and I'm sure I'll love that. And
Yeah,
I have Black Forest, and I love Glass Road, and I'm sure I'll love that. So
I need to play Beyond the Horizon with more than 2 people. So far, I've only played a 2-player twice, and it's fine. Like, it feels very similar to the other one. So I'm sure if you like one, you're going to like the other one. All right, well, tonight on the podcast, we played Resafa,
Resafa.
Which one is it, Campbell?
I don't even know. I'm looking at the word right now and I can't say
Dune
it.
Resafa.
Dune Resafa. Resafa. All right, for real though, we played Resafa from Delicious Games and Vladimir Suhi. Resafa came out in 2024. Buy my spice. Isn't your camel thirsty? Your garden is amazing.
I know, right?
It is currently ranked 5,810 overall. 1 to 4 players, best at 3, 60 to 150 minutes, ages 14 plus, 3.75 out of 5. Like I said, the designer Vladimir Suhi, artist is Michael Peckel, and the publisher is Delicious Games. In Resafa, we are trading, going through the town of Resafa, picking up goods, trading them between different cities. We're up in our camel game. We are building canals to siphon the water down and score some points that way. Man, there's just so much going on in this game. You can basically, it's got an Underwater Cities vibe where you're going to be playing a card, and you can play a card in either orientation, and each orientation will have an action on it and a color, and you always do the color action, which is either take a card, bump a track to get some more cards that do stuff, or you take a piece of garbage card, I guess. That's not what they really are, but it's got a garbage sack on the back.
Yeah, garbage sack card.
A sack card. And those sack cards are pretty cool. You can turn stuff into other stuff, or they give you points, or they just give you things. The main actions are you can build these workshops. You can then spend an action to activate workshops and produce a bunch of stuff. You can build gardens in between your workshops. So there's like a little tableau you're building, and everyone has their own little deal. And when you build the gardens next to the workshops, you activate bonuses for those. You can build the canal tiles and score points that way, and activate some of these water drops to then run the water down 3 times during the game and activate your tiles again and score them some more. You can go ahead and do the trading action, which I mentioned, where you can pick up and drop things, and the camels have these cool little shapes where you can actually slot the goods into the camel, and you score a bunch of points and get some money that way as well. I think that's all the actions. One of the actions is just to take a wild color action too. And I think that's the last one. So why don't we get to the table and come back with our thoughts on Resafa.
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 'Cause,
All right, we're back. Campbell, you came over, saw this box, and we're like, hey, look at that guy in his sneakers sitting on a rock.
Yeah.
What do you think about Resafa initially?
Well, I mean, when you said, hey, we're going to play Resafa, I looked at the box and I was like, this could go one of two ways.
You mean Refasa?
Maybe.
Sorry, now I'm just trying to screw with you.
It kind of is. Like, this is my Freudian slip right here, is I keep calling Resafa Refasa.
I did the same thing forever.
Yeah. So when I saw the box, I was like, hey, maybe this game is sick. Maybe this game is boring. Because it's one of those boxes where it could be either, right? Although, I generally don't pick Rob as the guy to snag boring-looking games. Like, if it has, like, kind of a boring box, I usually think that it's going to be like there's going to be maybe something fun about it. Because I don't see Rob buying, like, Tigris and Euphrates, you know what I'm saying?
It's because that game's
Tigris and
trash.
Euphrates. Yeah, exactly.
Hot take.
Anyway, then he's like, this is Suchi's new one, and I was like, well, this is going to go one of two ways, because I think Suchi's an awesome designer, but I wasn't necessarily smanged on, like, Messina. That one I thought was, like, so-so. Woodcraft is good. I only played it, like, once. You know, Praga is really good, but it's a little dry. It's really good. But I've been waiting for that, like, that game that gets me as zazzed as Underwater Cities, and I think this one might be it. So that was a long opening thoughts, but I knew by the end of the teach that I was going to like it. And that definitely happened.
I think for me, just seeing it all out on the table, it's definitely kind of drab. Like, it doesn't really draw you in. I don't think many people would pass by this and think, oh, man, I got to try that one just from looking at it. I think my first impressions, though, were there's just a lot of different ways that you can kind of zig as you play this game, and that will probably make it interesting for a while.
You know what? It looked really fun to me when I saw it. I was like, oh, this kind of looks like Marco Polo.
Yeah, like Jake said, it's there was something about this game that Vladimir was Sushi. Sushi?
I think it's Suhi.
I think it's
Suhi.
Vladimir Suki.
Yeah, like one of my favorite designers, and for whatever reason, just looking at this game and like seeing it posted online, was like I don't really know if I even care to play the game. I'm sure we would play it, but like I wasn't super interested at all. I would say after playing it the first time, you kind of get over that hump of like just being, oh, okay, another trading Mediterranean game. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was. If this didn't have Delicious Games on the box and the designer's name on the box,
yeah, exactly. Like
I would pass this over at the store every time. Yeah. I would throw this in there with like a Trajan. I look at Trajan and I'm just like, ugh. This is very similar. But I'm going to give his designs and this company's big game every year a shot.
Yeah.
Every time because they have a track record. And
hey, and you know what? Like, I can really get behind that he does one game a year for the most part. Right?
Yeah, they don't screw around.
Yeah, and for me, I think that gives his game a little bit more weight to go try.
Yeah, because it's not like they're pumping out 20 games and hopefully one of them hits, right?
Yeah, and
it's not a bunch of drivel.
Come to find out, there's a lot of designers that kind of maybe put their name on games that they're not super involved in the design too. So like you see a lot of designers have multiple games come out and it's kind of like, yeah, but is this your best effort? Did it need to come out? You know?
Yeah. There's a thing right now a lot with designers too, where like Simone Luciani is still one of my favorite designers, but he's like the Cranio Creation guy. And so he's like their in-house developer too. And so it might not even be his original design, but he did enough development on it that they put his name on the box too. Plus his name probably sells copies.
Yep.
So a lot of the games like that came out from Cranio last year, you see Luch's thing on there, and like he was on Mesos, but how much did he really do with Mesos? It was probably the other guy, and then he helped a little bit, right? So, and you know, the Woodcraft was kind of similar because that was not a Vladimir design. That was. Sorry, other guy, I can't remember. And I think Vladimir.
John Bon Jovi was it? That's who it was, right?
John Bon Jovi.
He helped develop it, and like he probably had a lot of input and stuff. But that was the game that Delicious Games came out with. Yep. And you know, if he's going to put a stamp on it, it's probably good too. So, Let's jump into the pros for Resafa. I really like the card play.
Yep.
You have 6 cards. There's ways to get more cards, but those 6 cards, and you got to decide which way you want to do it. And basically, I think every action occurs 2 times between all the cards, unless you get those yellow cards, which are fun, and let you like juice up the actions on top of that. I like the fact that all the iconography after you played it a couple times is everywhere on the board to remind you. The color action. When you take the color action, you're either taking another card, doing a track, or taking the sack. I don't know. That sounded cool.
It sounded great. It sounded great. Yeah.
Take the sack, bump the track.
Yeah.
Or take the act. And take the act.
Anyway, the card play is just awesome. And I like how the cards, you have like a 5-card hand limit, which doesn't really come into play too often. But I suppose if you got, like, we're holding on to sack cards and stuff, there's a little bit of hand management with that too. So
a little bit.
I like that, like, most of the time with the auxiliary action, like the color actions and stuff, right? You're picking between a card and a track, and the bag, I think, is probably the worst of the 3. But the choice between the card and the track bump, even though you might not get something instantly from the track bump, the cards and the tracks are so good that, like, it does really make it a choice. And sometimes they're not clearly better than each other, and I really enjoy it probably says more about the deck of cards on the side that you would get from the colors being really good at choice moments, and the cards on the rows being really good at choice moments.
I know you really just have to decide if you want to invest heavy and try to bump up on the tracks. But it's cool that you can, I mean, there's 4 tracks. The pink one is the end game one, and you can get all the way to the end of that. You could get all 3 of those cards, a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. The other 3 tracks, you can only get 1 of those to level 3. You can get 2 of them to level 2, and you can get all 3 of them to level 1. I've never seen anybody max out. You can't max out everything on all those things unless you maybe completely ignore the other cards over there. Maybe use action, but then you're maybe not doing as many actions on the board, and you're just doing the tracks. But then those cards give you stuff. Those decisions are tough.
I think it's incredibly unique, that ability of which track do you want to go further in. I will say in this last game, I did get a 3-2-1 on the 3 basic ones. So as far as I could have went on all of those, and then I was only 1 spot away from getting to the second level of the pinks. So I was track city. One of the things that I think I want to add just to what we were saying before, in addition to the fact that those, the choice between moving up on the track or taking the cards, it also adds a layer of what's available in those cards. Because sometimes on your turn, especially if it's the back half of the turn, so it's basically 6 rounds, but 3 of them are the front half and 3 are the back half. And the back half, you're much more limited on what you can do because it's what cards you haven't spent. But there are sometimes actions tucked into those cards, which allow you to do something that you can't do otherwise. So even though moving on that track can be so valuable, and even if you're heavy in the track game as opposed to the card game, there's a ton of utility that it could exist on that side. And I also like that all of those cards are seen every single game, so it's not a mix of, hey, I'm waiting for something that may not come out. I love that angle of it. So I mean, eventually as you play the game more, you can kind of know what capabilities exist in those decks, and I think that'll add a lot of fun replayability to it as well.
Here's 3 quick bangers. 1, most of your resource collection is done during your main actions, so you don't have to you don't usually have to go take an action just to get coins and rocks. It usually is kind of done together with what you're doing. Second big pro, basically everything in the game costs a rock and a coin, except for the water pieces, which is just a nice, easy way to remember what you're going to be paying for what you're doing. But you still have to manage your resources. Third thing is that the fact that you only get to do each action twice, once you learn how to play the game, like today, by the end of the game, I was like, I'll never have trouble picking my actions again in this game because I know what I'm going to be able to do. And there's ways to fiddle the game so that you can get a couple wild actions, which is nice, but the game becomes like Newton for me, where I can play it faster every time I play because I'm backfilling my next actions, because I have to do this, then that, then the other, and I can't just keep. I don't have the choice of what action I'm going to take every single time, where I have to be super tactical. So I liked all 3 of those things a lot.
I got a couple extra things. One, I want to say that the three of us in this game went incredibly different routes with the way that we played and doing certain things or leaning on others, and we were all incredibly close in points. So that's a good sign in regards to the validity of the different strategies you can take. But another thing that I think is great about this is sometimes games have actions that just don't feel good because there's things that I'm just getting the necessary components for something I'm going to accomplish later. But there's just so many little ways that you're rewarded for the actions you take, whether it's as simple as, hey, by filling a whole garden, I get a bump on a track, or by taking one of the little, market tokens that is building towards end game scoring, criteria that you're working towards. So there's just a little rewarding pieces to everything, and I think that makes it a really enjoyable experience for all of your turns.
Yeah, all of them feel pretty good. I mean, there are some times where you'll take like 2 track bumps.
But it's working towards
yeah.
getting something really good. So you can see that. I think that's really cool.
I do like the I think they said it pretty well. The choice is if you take on the tracks, if you pass a card and you take the top card, you get a point and a coin, or you can dig through the deck and get whatever you want.
Yeah, that's a neat. I don't know that I've seen that in another game. I think that's a neat incentive to just take the one you can see.
Yeah.
And how many extras are there?
2 of each deck.
Okay.
So you don't know what's in the deck every game.
Yeah, so of like what, 6?
Unless they say there's an advanced rule where you can optionally decide what to play with, or you can be like, everyone gets to look at the cards and things like that.
Yeah, so of 6, there's 4 that are played every game. Yeah.
I level 1, 2, and 3.
I think the bonus is just enough to make you really think about, am I going to go dive for a card?
Yeah, or is this thing good enough?
Is it good enough? Yeah. Especially on a lot of the decks in the 1 and 2 areas, like it's usually like that seems pretty good, So, and then because you get to see it, now it's a race, right? So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, the decision on what kind of special cards to go for. I mean, the pink endgame cards are huge, but if you get to the end and get all 3 of those, then you're probably going to miss out on some of the other cards. And the yellow cards are cool because they give you a bunch of flexibility and another way to get stuff.
And the top one gives you the ability to do 2 actions. So you're going to do 7 actions.
Yeah, and you get an extra action. So those are cool. I've never gone hard into yellow before, and I did tonight, and that was fun. I've gone hard into like the blue and white before, which give you like one-time bonuses and ongoing abilities, which is also cool. And then every time you kind of drip drab into the pink stuff. But I don't know. This game, I like the fact that you could not build all of your
Canal pieces.
Thank you. You can't build all your canals and also do a bunch of trading. Like, you just can't. You can't do both of those things. They're mutually exclusive. And I think you could do a little bit of each and still do equally well, or you can go super hard in one and not as hard into the other one. But because everything is interconnected and there are some requirements to be able to do certain things that are very good, it does make you dip your toe in every area. Otherwise, you won't be able to succeed as much in your area that you're focused on.
Yeah. Another thing that made me dip my toe in the other areas was the color of the card. Where it was like, I really need to get a movement on pink or whatever. So it was like, okay, I'm going to take this worst action just to even play the color. And I think that says a lot about the color actions.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah, sorry.
That's perfect. I mean, that just, again, we're on the same page in that there's just always something that's going to bring back an action that you maybe don't want to take. If that action is necessary to the build, the pieces at the end of the dam, you're still getting something that's advantageous. Even though the pink cards are bonkers scoring, I think I had the least of them with just one of those cards, and it didn't make a difference really in regards to where our end games were at, and I think that's really interesting.
No, we were all in the upper 100s, and we were all within 10 points of each other.
I do not think the pink cards are bonkers in scoring. Yeah, you have to put a fair amount of effort into getting them.
I mean, they're just an egregious amount of points. Like, I mean, it's just there's.
I don't know if I really agree with that.
There's a card that's just 18 points. Like, you just take the card and it's 18 points.
Like by getting to the end of the track.
Sure, but what I'm saying, that's a lot of points to just be on a card.
But like every area has that big chunk of points, right?
Yeah.
Like, you scored 30 points by selling, but that takes a lot of effort to do that.
Yeah.
Tim and I, when we both kind of built the canals, and those score 3 times during the game, right? So the more you build, the earlier you build, the more they're going to score, and then they score more than 3 times whenever you can run water down them.
And when you put them out, you get a decent amount of points too.
That's also true.
Yeah, and then they have endgame for like the sets you like,
Like,
what,
ev-
1,
like this
3,
game
5,
is a true
7.
point salad. Everything you do well gives you a lot of points.
Yeah.
You boost your camels up and you go make like 35 points off of one sale that you used 5 coins to set up or 7 coins to set up, or
I feel like it's being missed that I said that I don't think that they're necessary. It is a lot of points, but I didn't have very many of them, and I scored in a single place. Like, they are a lot of points, but they do lean into the things that you're doing.
I just disagree that they're ridiculous points. I don't think they're more heavily weighted than any other avenue of the game, and I think that was evidenced tonight,
I think that's literally what I was just saying.
Well, yeah, you call
Let's
them
agree
you
to
call them
agree.
ridiculous.
They're a lot of points, but with that, I said that they're not necessary to do well. So I feel like I was saying that.
I think I just got hung up on the word ridiculous. I was like, I think you're ridiculous.
I think it was
But
egregious.
I think your point was solid. I agree with your point.
Well, thanks for taking that down, guys. I appreciate that. Any other pros?
Everything feels good and is fun.
Yeah.
Like every aspect of the game, and they keep you in resources enough where like when you have to go do something you're not really doing, it's worth it to do it still.
Even
So-
producing can still feel pretty good.
Especially when you can get production in the middle action of cards.
Oh,
And then
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
Yep.
an extra thing that you get to do out of it, which those little bonuses tucked in the yellow cards are they only in the yellow cards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are fun too. So
Yeah, those are great.
Who's got cons?
I do have one. I think that the gardens and the cities work really well together. However, I think that like you can go do a game where you build a ton of cities without gardens, but like gardens lose so much value if you're not building them in between cities because you don't get like the.
But
like
you get the point bumps, and then
You
there's
do get
lots
the
of-
point
and-
bump,
well,
but-
sorry, the track bumps and points for moving over.
Yeah, it is expensive to build those gardens, and then to not get those little extra bonuses is like I think it's just kind of painful.
I mean, it could be.
And it takes more actions to build gardens because you have to use like 2 actions to build a garden, where it's 1 action to build like
I feel like there are a lot of cards that let you get gardens, which is a nice thing with that. But I never took a city building and I built a whole bunch of gardens. So you're right, I was losing those point incomes, but I maxed out my garden scoring, and then I also was able. I needed those bumps to get to where I was at, so it kind of played into what I was doing.
I think gardens are good. I just think that like maybe they're like one of the less springy, like squishy parts. Like I think you kind of need to do cities too if you're doing gardens, like or should.
I mean, I haven't seen anybody build as big of a tableau as you did this game.
It was tight. It got me a heck of points.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to watch, and
Got me ridiculous points.
I really, it did, and I really like the end game scoring in this. Going into the end, we didn't really have any idea who was going to win this game. We scored probably almost as many points at the end of the game as we scored during the game. So there's a lot of end game points, and you can really focus on certain areas. And we all got end game points in different places for the most part. I don't know. My biggest pro for this game is just that it is super interconnected. Like everything kind of leads into everything else. Getting those tiles that you get from going around the merchant areas and sometimes on the cards to build out those tracks to score the multipliers for the buildings and gardens and stuff. I don't know. Sometimes and Campbell got a lot of those too. Like that was one of the bigger determining factors in the game tonight, I think. And I've never gotten that many before. I filled maybe like 1 track and that's it. And had like 1 extra.
Yeah, I got a ton of those. Thanks.
And then the scarabs are cool too.
Slightly illegally.
Which that's its own like the scarab is its own end game scoring thing. It's slightly better than the square ones, right?
Mm-hmm. I got a couple things. I think, especially the first time or so you play this, the way the canal stuff scores, it's not super intuitive. Like once you've played it a few times, you just kind of know. But just to be like, well, this scores twice, and then this scores twice, and this scores once, and then knowing where the water can go and can't go, like there's just a little bit of unintuitiveness.
It is
tucked into that.
super. I mean, I will say that the rule book for this game is pretty good. I think the only one that's probably read the rules, but how you score the water is not. The instructions for it are fairly short.
Mm.
The example,
It's like a half a page.
The example helps a little bit, but the only reason why I really fully grasped it was I also watched the Nethrania How to Play video, and ultimately I found a thread on Board Game Geek. So to me, that's probably the biggest con for me too, is with the way the water runs. Also, like it can be slightly mean how that stuff kind of works. Like Tim totally was trying to steal stuff from me.
I said I would play. You run water. I'll run water through you if you run water through me.
Yeah.
So I would say it's not very in most games. You would think that the person that when the water touches that person's tile, they get to control which way it goes. But that's not the case. The person that initiates the water flow.
I mean, I think this is better than that. That would be whack.
Why is that?
I think if as soon as it got to your tile, you got to then decide which way it shot.
I don't know.
That would be terrible.
For me, I think that it would be more intuitive. Which
I mean, to some extent, it's on my tile. I get to choose.
Yeah.
It's on that person's tile.
The
they don't
only
get to choose.
unintuitiveness that really is for me is it can go off of the side of a tile if there's a path for it, if the tile next to it is empty.
Right.
But if there's a tile next to it is not empty, then it has to have a connection.
Yeah.
That is the unintuitive part to me.
And again, just the first couple times too, what scores when, and then when
Yeah.
it scores again, and there's just a little bit
Yeah.
of weirdness to that. But I mean, I don't think it's prohibitive once you know how to play it. Like I don't think that's gonna hurt your experience. It's just it is a lot to take that part of it in, and I could see people just being like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that over there as a result in the first play, which. Ironically, that's what I did the first play, so that's kind of funny. I think one other thing, and I actually don't even know if this is a con necessarily, but the water, it's kind of clear when you can see the other people have the potential to move things away and you don't score those points. Again, once you understand how it works. I feel a little bit weird about cities and flipping over and just to some extent, I like the interactiveness of somebody going there first and then therefore getting a big thing, but it can be a huge swing if just those tiles aren't flipped the right way when you're ready to deliver, and it can be hard to fix that. So if most of the deliveries on one side have flipped the tiles over to where they're scoring less points, unless you get a card that lets you flip it over before trading, you can just be kind of stuck there or take a bad action. And to some extent, again, I know that's interconnectedness, and I do like the tension there, which parallels the tension on the canal board of where you're going to build stuff. But that can just be so many points you don't get, and you can't do a lot about it. So I don't know. I feel a little weird.
Yeah,
about
for
that
me,
too.
I'm curious to play it more and see how it shakes out with. Today it was kind of 2 and 2. Like you two were mostly doing the trading stuff, and Tim and I were mostly doing the canals. And Cam built one tile towards the end of the game. The first time we played it, 3 of us were doing the canals, and 1 person was doing the trading, and that person won. Although they didn't score, we all scored higher than that. We all scored higher than any other winners scored.
That's because I brought you guys all up with
in the
me.
history of playing. I think it kind of maybe clicked a little more tonight, and then we played everything 100% properly as well. But I'd be curious if okay,
Asterisk.
we all played by the rules.
I was trying to play by the rules.
I mean-
I was trying to play by the rules.
I would just be curious if what it would be like if all people were mostly not trading and everyone was doing that thing. Would that be fun, or would that feel overcrowded, or would that feel
in a
super
2-player
mean?
game, when Tim and I played, I basically exclusively ran the water and he did trading, and I was quite a bit ahead in the end. But I don't know. So, but I hear you. If it's, I'm guessing if it was 1 in the canals and 3 in the trading, the person that did the canals would run away with it. Would be my guess.
Maybe, but they can only run so many of those water drops. Realistically, you almost need help. That's almost the thing that needs help. Where if you're one person doing the trading, then you have control over how all those things are flipped and stuff. People can't flip things on you, like you were saying. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It may be to me that feels like a really good amount of player interaction. Just to throw that back into a pro, I like the player interaction. I think on both sides of the board.
I got a couple. They're probably nitpicky things. I would say knowing and where your resources are at. Sometimes with the camel can be a little bit okay, I pick this thing up, or when I get it, it goes to Resafa, so I have to go pick it up, and I don't know. It seems a little bit it can catch some people.
Yeah. Just know if you ever buy something, it goes on your camel.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it goes straight to your
and then
your board.
You can
on
only hold
Resafa.
one thing, and that thing can hold as much as your camel level.
That is the tricky thing to remember.
Yeah.
Is you're out there and you're oh, my camel's only level 1.
Yeah.
I can't buy 3 of these things, right?
Right. And then it does show you on the board and your player board kind of what everything costs, but it's in like a little bit of a weird place. So like on the board, when you pick pink cards up in round 1 and 2, they give you stuff. And then like it shows you what you start with on your board. And then like when you put a merchant down, I think is what they're called. It's a coin and a stone, like that's on your board too, but like it's not, they're just all kind of in weird spots that I think could be laid out a little better.
Yeah, for the first play, it's definitely like, or when we brought it back out, I was like, I know everything's somewhere. I got to find it.
Yeah.
And now that I've played it a couple times again more recently, it's all.
But
flows,
yeah, like what you start with, was it stone? Like 2 coins and a stone is like on the middle of your board. It's like, but there's nothing indicating that's what you start with. So it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's this? What's this for? Is that
Right.
So I don't know. I think they're pretty nitpicky, but that's what I got.
Graphic design, a little to be left to be desired.
I think it could be more, like with this, how good of the graphic design is for everything else. That part of it is lacking.
I'm not sure that 100% needs it, but I wish it came with maybe a small player aid with some things. The back of the rulebook does have explanations of all the cards and stuff. And I guess back to the pro, the iconography is pretty darn good.
Yeah,
I think for the most part.
And I would say I'm notorious for if something is on the other side of the board, just ignoring it. And the cards are good enough in this game that you can see it from the other side of the board.
Do you think that still would have been true, though, if you hadn't played it before? You had played it before, so you knew how good they were.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, because like the only thing for me, it's really hard to tell what colors the track bumps are when they're just individual colors. But other than that, like for the most part, it's a bag or it's a rock, or when you're doing this action, you get a discount, that kind of thing. I think it's pretty easy to see from far away.
All right, well, let's hit our final thoughts here on the Board Boys podcast. We have a 3 Boeing rating scale, 0 being the worst, 3 being the best. One time only you give your 4 Boeing game. Campbell, why don't you give us a 0 and a 3 Boeing game in the world of Refasa?
Okay, 3 Boeing game. You are trading in the area of Refasa in the 3rd century AD.
Okay.
Got him.
0 Boeing game. You are trading in Refasa in the modern day Syria. Oh, I'd say Refasa in the 3rd century CE. So.
Well, that was exhilarating. I don't know.
I was just an ADCE.
Were you
jab
purposely
from-
missaying it, or did you?
No,
it was. So I got you.
It was just a Refasa slip.
Awesome. I feel really good about my.
You know what? Freud was right about all this.
I think that the 3 Boeing game of this is your camel can hold 10 things and also can build canals.
Did you say
And it
your
has
camel-
3
your
humps
camel
and
can
holds
hold-
all the
Your
water.
camel.
Yeah. Hey, 3-1 game of Refasa? Resafa?
Is you say Resafa correctly?
You say Resafa correctly, and also that Black Eyed Peas song "My Humps" is playing while you're.
Exactly. I was thinking
thought
about that
saying
too.
your board boy my humps earlier, but I didn't.
Yep.
Fergie. All right, Tim. Why don't you start?
So I think I like this game more on this play than maybe I did my first 2. First one was a little weird. I don't know. There's a lot of weirdness about the rules because Rob wasn't actually there to.
I was in the other room.
Lay the hammer down, so I had to go get him to lay the hammer down a couple times, which is a little annoying. I would say 2.5. I'm gonna give this 2.5 Boeings. I think I give it a bump of a half Boeing. Again, I really like his games, so it's no surprise that I like this game. It's cool.
I can go next. I am really back and forth between 2 numbers here. I think this game is great and a lot of fun, and I think that the things that make me want to play games are that I can't get the experience somewhere else, and that there is, I can't accomplish everything, and that I'm going to be able to do different things when I play, and this, I think, certainly hits on that. I really enjoy Suhi's games as well, and I think for me it's a 2.5 just because of the couple little finicky things that hold it back. But
Do you think it was
this being a 3?
Do you think if it was like farming, you would like it more?
No, I like the theme.
Or building a quilt?
I'm a history guy. I like
Building
the
a
theme.
quilt.
I just think that there's just a couple things that are just a little bit not.
But you're on the 3 side of the 2.5, huh? Those are the 2 numbers you were
Those were
closer
the
to.
2 numbers I was
Okay.
between. But
Yeah,
I think it's a 2.5.
I would be on the 2 side of the 2.5.
Sure.
Yeah.
I sort of want to give this game a 3.
Do it.
Yeah, it's a 3. I've played it once, but this game is tight. I think it's the bomb. I'm a 3-zo on it.
I think tonight's play of it has brought. Well, today I played it solo, which the solo mode, it's classic Suhi. It has a deck of cards. It's super easy to run. You're just trying to beat the best score. And I failed miserably earlier today. But it's really fun. Like, I would run this back solo again. I did it like in half an hour.
So it took longer to shuffle the cards and set up the game?
Probably,
yeah.
which we didn't really talk about the setup. This game has a little bit to set up just due to all the card decks.
There's, what 12 decks of cards on the tracks.
Yeah.
And then there's 4 decks of colored cards that have 2 decks apiece.
Yeah. It's a lot easier with 4 people and you're not doing it all yourself. It's a 3 for me. I think it was a 2.5 earlier before today's 2 plays, but I think I unlocked it a little bit tonight and I feel much better about, and I saw like Campbell like crushing with the big board over there, and I want to try to do that next.
It was fun. It felt really good.
I just think like it's just fun to me to be like, okay, this time I'm gonna try this. And just be a little different.
What I really appreciate about this game in that regard is it's not hard to do what you're trying to do. Like in regards to like, I want to try this time.
I mean,
like you can just do.
You have all the actions.
Yes.
No one's blocking you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I think that's going to wrap us up for Resafa.
Well done.
Yeah, so we kind of timed this out pretty well, but we like to have a look back 1 year in the past. So Cam, you want to hit us with the
new
songs?
song? He said he was bringing a new one to the season, didn't he?
Oh, did I say that? Yeah, I did say that. It goes like this.
Do it to my humps.
I was going to do that, Jake. You just hosed me. Jake just hosed me. Did you hear that? Okay, hang on.
Hose, Tommy.
What else? What other song rhymes with bump and dump?
Jump. By Van Halen.
By Van Halen?
Yeah.
Or Jump by Criss Cross.
Ooh. Sophie's Choice.
Okay, here we go. Da 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 bump da da da. Go ahead and dump. Da, da, da. I get up, and nothing bumps me down. We'll just do that once.
I couldn't be happier that I said humps to make you do that instead. So,
All right. So 1 year we played Evacuation. So this was a 7.9 for 14,068. It is now a 7.6.
I mean, I'm sure it bumped.
It's a bump.
Yeah, it bumped a lot. So 969. We just played this the other day. So I was a 2.5, Rob was a 2.5, Cam was a 3 on Evacuation.
Yeah, this is the last Suchi game. Like just a year ago, I'm just falling into the same old traps. Played the game one time, gave it a 3, went out and bought it, and I haven't gotten it to the table since. However, I could get Resafa to the table again easily because I won't forget how to play this game.
Yeah.
I totally forgot how to play Evacuation.
So I would say for me, it's probably a 2.
It is dumb for me as well to a 2, maybe even a 1.5.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
With the points mode, I love the game is a hard 3.
Yeah.
I love Evacuation the game. I hate Evacuation the scoring. Like scoring the 3 objective cards like you draft, I don't like that.
Well, and then it leads to a lot of...
we didn't play with like the extra modules that score you other ways, which I think if I'd played it more recently, maybe I would have played with those. To me, I think I need to replay the race mode, and I think I'll do that again and talk about it on the podcast in the future. The race mode might be a 2.5 for me because maybe I like to play the game and just see who can go get the thing done first.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it just feels like it's an incomplete game. It just doesn't have, like, 90% of this game is amazing, and then the 10% of where, like, rubber meets the road with games of how you win and score, it's so nebulous, and there's so much stuff to it, and, like, what's the best way? And I haven't played the race game yet, but, like, the points game, well, there was another game where we played where, like, Jake might know, but like where you have a bunch of endgame scoring cards and you basically all score the same thing. Oh, was it Jin or whatever? I think it was Jin. Where like if you hit your cards, everybody's basically the same thing, and it comes down.
Jin does
for the
turn out
endgame?
that way.
Yeah. there's a little bit more there in that, like if you leave some people on the thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But like it just felt like we were all kind of, yep, I got my card, or maybe you didn't, but like if you didn't get your card, like you're out.
I think the race might be where it's at. You're just trying to get all 3 incomes over that red line and get enough stadiums.
Yeah.
If you're the first one to do that, you win.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the tiebreaker is, but also I feel like if you were good at that game, the game probably only goes 3 rounds instead of 4.
Right.
Which is maybe good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
if I've ever gotten all 3 of my incomes that far,
Oh.
but I've won the game. By scoring a bunch
It's
on those
because
cards.
the scoring is
Yeah.
nebulous.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you'd like to give some feedback on the bumper dump, you can do so at a Board Game Geek Guild. You can find that through our website. So BJ said, sadly, this has been his least favorite Suchi game to date, despite the fact that it had a great time playing with the Board Boys and Stephen Hodge at BGGCon 2023.
Stephanie Hodge.
It says Steph. Sorry.
Oh,
Steph
yes,
Hodge.
Steph
Steph
Hodge,
Hodge. Okay.
yep.
I just didn't find the 2-tiered race very interesting, but that was from just one play. I'll give it 1 boing right now, but that being said, I would play it again to see if I liked it better a second time. 1 boing is, that one's tough. Evacuation is a good game, and I enjoyed it. This handful of plays I had. However, this is from Ryan. However, I am not really interested in returning to it, and I'd probably choose any of Suchi's other games instead. Give it a 1.5 boings. And then Jeremy Thoman, it was probably a 2.5 or 3 boings for him. Managing 2 economies and sets of resources was interesting. Loading up the ships and flying them back and forth was fun, but I'm not sure I really want to revisit it. I can't really place why it dropped. I don't think it's a bad game.
Jeremy bought that game too.
So he says he's going to give it 1.5 boings right now. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's fallen.
Yeah, it's fallen for us too. I think it's because it just isn't, when it comes to it and you're going to decide who wins this game, it's so weird.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of the Board Boys Podcast, Season 16, Episode 1.
8 years.
Woo, woo, woo.
Well, this is. I mean, we're rolling into.
We're moving in.
We're rolling into our second half of year 8, right? Is that what that is? So
Yeah.
like we'll
We're
have
starting-
8 years completed at the end of this season.
That is correct. 7.5. Go to theboardboys.com. Check out all our links there. You can see all our podcasts. Link to our Discord. Come chat with us. Play games on BGA. You can sign up for our Patreon and support us. We would much appreciate it. I'd like to thank our patrons now: Hammond McDonough, BJ from Board Game Gumbo, Timothy Crisco, Shifty Teeth, Mitchell Prudhomme, Jordan Smith, Jeff Gray, Andre Bosch, Braden Dowdy, Rob Cooper, Richard Lane, Matt Kelly, Jeremy Thoman, and Dom Lankin.
Wait. Isn't it funny how before we started the episode, you were like, season 16, and I was like, 8 years. And then Tim just repeated how I was like, 8 years just then, and I just was like, actually.
You actually them.
Yeah. I just totally hosed Tim on like something I said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been, 2 good years and 6,
Yeah.
laddie years.
Fantastic years, yeah.
Also, come if you're in the Cedar Rapids area, come hang out with Jake and I, and probably Campbell.
Probably Campbell, yeah.
At GammaCon in Coralville. And I'm deciding on, I'm either going to go back to BGG Spring this year, or I might try to go to the one in St. Louis, Geekway to the West. That's also in May, though. So it's going to be Geekway.
Tim and I can probably be there for work, so you
Yeah.
let us know.
Right, Geekway or BGG Spring. I know there's a few people in Louisiana that are going to tell me to go to BGG Spring.
Yeah.
So, but I think if we go, Bo and I might fly down there this time and just play games from the library and not take anything.
Liar.
Who am I?
You can have an entire suitcase packed full of games. I know you will.
Southwest lets you check bags
Yeah.
for free.
It's true.
Am I wrong, or is GammaCon special? Because I think GammaCon is the convention where Tim and I first got to play games together ever.
Carbococcus.
That was it. No, I think the GammaCon was the first place we ever played games together, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
It's Cardboard Caucus
Yep.
before then.
Has Tim been to GammaCon?
I have not.
So
Are
that,
you sure? I thought we met up with you at GammaCon, and that was like maybe you and I were just talking
The
about GammaCon.
first time I went to Carbococcus, when I got there, you two were playing TI together. Is that what you're referring to? That was the first Carbococcus ever.
I thought Tim came to GammaCon, and that's the first time we played
I
games
wish.
together. But it was just after that GammaCon, and then we started gaming together
was,
after
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when you had sent me a message like, "Hey man, your podcast is
Yeah.
interesting."
Yeah.
Now look at us, man.
Yeah, it was the Karma Chameleon Con or something. I don't remember what it was. Yeah.
Chameleon Con.
Yeah. Died.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's a pretty funny joke.
All right. Well, until next time, we hope you like board games.
Boing, boing, boing.